This is Goku-san, DBZ, and this is the first of three, of course, special issue reviews. This is the fourth and final issue of Star Wars Shattered Empire. Of course, we have on the front Luke, and our character we get to know for a short time in this particular series. Of course, as always, we start out with the opening text, as you would expect from anything Star Wars, obviously. Back at the Rebel Fleet. Which, of course, as I said before, I love the coloration and just the different color textures, which you don't get quite as good view, sadly, because of the lighting in here. And I am sorry about that. Now, of course, here we have them talking, and of course we know Admiral Ackbar and others discussing things out about, what just happened on Naboo, obviously, from the other three issues. And so the pilot, which we've gotten to know a little bit about, is talking with her commanding officer, and he put a transfer so she could spend time with her husband. Lost in thought, and of course, who should come by? R2-D2, the sarcastic droid, and gets her attention, brings her away to this platform, and a special shuttle, and of course, Luke Skywalker, or rather, Commander Skywalker. And he asks R2 to get him a pilot, and then realizes also she helped out his sister, Leia. So it's kind of interesting. Some would say perhaps the will of the Force. And he's like, shall we get on with it? And of course, obviously, she's very honored by it. And so we enter hyperspace. And he has her wearing a Imperial, of course, outfit to get them in, obviously, which they got from another place they invaded prior. Made you get the command code and everything to get past security. And of course, here's the thing about the special Star Wars Vader Down crossover. And as I said, of course, about this series, one thing that really caught my attention is the coloration of, the sky, and in general, the atmosphere. I just love the coloration of the atmosphere, the tone. There's just some really artistic about this particular miniseries, which I very much love. And they discuss about what they're to do, and he mentions that, to act like that, he is merely a bodyguard of hers. And, of course, the code does work, gets them in, and, of course, the commanding officer is wondering why they're there, obviously. When, in fact, considering the rebel problems, he's wondering why would she come and do an inspection of a development factory, building weaponry for obviously the Empire. Which is partially what they're discussing. Beautiful, is it not? Just the attention to detail and things. I wish I had a little bit better resolution on this so you could see in much finer detail these things. And the conversation, obviously, with her on questioning things. Obviously, through some of the discussions and stuff, they're starting to be kind of curious about things, thinking something feels off. And of course, Luke also senses something is wrong. And so he uses the Force, obviously, and pulls out the lightsaber and start fighting, using a lightsaber to deflect laser blasts to protect himself. Sorry, I just love doing sound effects like I just love doing certain types of sound effects. Luckily, R2 was there for a blaster for her and, of course, a lightsaber for Luke. And, of course, grabbing two trees, interestingly enough. And they're picking out the heavy artillery to do some blasting. And he's causing, yes, some obvious destruction. Now that shot right there is epic, with the lightsaber and Luke coming down on the Imperial Stormtrooper. That's just downright awesome. Of course, everything's in chaos, everything's exploding, obviously, and they're all freaking out and making a run for it. And he uses his Force and gets these grenades, activates them with the Force, and then tosses it at them, and obviously, well, that causes kind of a big explosion. And he's just like, we're done here. And she's just like stunned. And so, hyperspace, they end up getting away with two trees, and he ends up telling her to take one home with her. And he'll take the other one. So, there we are. And she returns home, brings a tree, the one that Luke gave her, and spends time with her husband. And there they are, holding each other at their home, with a beautiful closing sunset to the wonderful, interesting miniseries saga. And that was issue 4 of 4 of Star Wars Shattered Empire. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you enjoyed the miniseries Shattered Empire. If you haven't actually gotten a hold or read, I highly recommend you actually check this out. Of any miniseries comics so far I've checked in recently, I've been reading, I really love this miniseries. It's just epic, and I can't say highly enough the beautiful art design and artwork. The attention to the atmosphere is just incredible. But as always, this is Goku Sun DBZ, and I'll see you next time for my second comic book review, which is going to be a classic older issue comic, and the third one will be a newer comic. So stay tuned for that. Follow me at twitter.com/GokuSunDBZ, as well as also on Google+, Goku Sun DBZ. And until next time here in YouTube land, I hope you all have a good week.